Mr. Brennan, under this, if they don't, I think you give them 6 months to fill out this report, is that correct?
Well, to 6 months after the legislation is enacted, they would have to submit a plan to the Public Service Commission.
Okay, what happens if they don't?
Well, I think we just, I think the Public Service Commission could compel them to submit the plan.
Okay,
They could go to court, you know,
okay.
and it would be a violation of the Public Service Law. So the Public Service, we just adopted some new laws in the state budget that says that the Public Service Commission can impose a penalty for violating the Public Service Law.
Right, but we don't say what that penalty is here.
But I can't, I think the utilities would comply, frankly.
Okay. Next question. If, say, we have a utility out there now that is not using solar power or wind power, would this compel them to use that type of power?
No, it wouldn't compel them to do it. It would ask them to take a look at meeting the electric supply needs of the community and that they serve through a mix of traditional central station generation, energy conservation, and renewable resources. And the standard that is set that the Public Service Commission would have to take a look at is ratepayer and environmental benefit. So in taking a look at the balance of all of the ways in which the community's electric supply needs are met, the Commission could say, well, the environment would be improved, the price increases might be diminished going forward if there were some additional solar energy, and could require an incorporation of that into the plan, but it is not necessary.
So, but what you're saying is that they could force one of these utilities to use alternative energy sources like solar power.
Yes, and that would be a good thing.
Well, you know, on Long Island, what I can tell you is the cost of electricity affects everything for us. Our property taxes, the cost of doing business, and we're paying the highest electric rates that in
Actually,
the country.
I think New York City's are about 30 to 40% higher.
All right, well, what I've been arguing over for the last 2 years is we're paying 9 cents per kilowatt. And then I find out the other day that the solar power that LIPA is paying for right now, they're charging LIPA 22 cents per kilowatt. So if I can't afford 9 cents, right, per kilowatt, how are we supposed to afford 22 cents? Because right now solar power isn't where it needs to be in order to bring the prices down so that we don't have our residents moving to North Carolina, to Georgia, to Florida, because they can't afford to live, raise a family, or do business here in New York State because of the cost of electricity and the impact that that has on all the property taxes, whether it's school taxes or whether it's town, county taxes. So if we find, if you have a disparity there in the amount that power would cost you, I have a real concern if we can force a utility company to incorporate one of these green energy technologies that haven't been perfected, and the cost is way too high. And that just seems that what we're going to be doing is forcing them to put things in their portfolio which we shouldn't be forcing them to put.
Mr. Graf, let me say to you that the implementation of solar energy on Long Island right now involves something on the order of 0.1% of the price of electricity because the way the Long Island Power Authority is setting forth the plan for implementation has a limit on the amount of capacity that a cap on the amount of capacity that solar and wind are allowed to provide. And once there is once you reach that cap, no more is permitted. And the rate impact of the solar and wind is currently infinitesimal, meaning very, very, very tiny. Not only that, just to make another point, you talk about 9 cents a kilowatt hour as the supply price of electricity on Long Island. That's true, but the final price is 18 cents. That's what the customer actually pays. And the other 9 cents out of the 18 is the delivery charge made by the Long Island Power Authority, and that is avoided altogether by virtue of the solar. So the rate impact is not 13 cents extra, it's just a few cents.
Do you know what
but as I indicated before, if you let me finish, there is a cap to the allowable capacity of wind and solar that makes the price impact tiny. And I think it is in the environmental interest and the long-term capacity interest. You know, it costs money to build new power plants. And so to the extent that you avoid that cost in the future by adding non-traditional sources of energy, you avoid higher rates down the road. So the solar and wind have long-term beneficial avoided cost impacts with respect to meeting the supply needs.
Do you know how much percentage of LIPA's budget they spend on buying electricity, by any chance?
Yeah, it's almost half.
Excuse me?
LIPA's budget? Yeah, it's almost half.
What percentage of their budget do they spend buying electricity? Do you know?
It's almost half. It's almost 50%.
That's 62%.
No, it's near that.
That's the number that LIPA gave me. 62% of their budget is buying electricity.
That's not accurate.
Do you know what the cap is for buying the alternative electricity? What's that cap? Do you know what percentage that is?
I think it's, what is it, 100 megawatts? It's 1% of their demand.
Well, I just got a text from LIPA today that their FIT program, where they're buying the solar panel electricity, is actually 3%, and they paid, I think it's $11.4 million for that electricity. So that's 3% right there. So for me, I don't want, it's bad enough that LIPA is being mismanaged. I don't want to put us in a position where we're mismanaging the rest of the state also. Because other parts of the state, the electricity is affordable. Unfortunately, New York City and Long Island, it's not. So I have some real reservations on this.